matud nila sa mga nakasabot nun sa pasabot ni Justin atong backbreaking. Pasabta ko na sila Justin. Anong backbreaking man?
Because she has this she's known for this technique when she performs in which she bends backwards, especially when hitting a high note. So it's not only very visually appealing, I think it's also a way of her to like, I don't know, not only captivate audience but more express yung self.
Nana siya mura og purpose ana. Is there like a
scientific purpose behind that?
Utility for that nga medyo yung lungs ma-expand more, reach higher notes and something like you're a singer. So does the position of the body of a singer allow you to be able to maybe express a note on a higher level?
Yeah.
How does that work?
As far as I know, it does. Like having the proper posture when singing and being able to sing from your diaphragm and all that, expanding your lungs. It's for like the maximum amount of air that your lungs are supposed to take in, and for you to release that when you sing and belt it out.
Okay.
I'm not sure about the bending backwards though. Like I know standing straight has like a utilitarian. There's a reason behind that, but I'm not sure about the
bend ka,
the
diba?
bend. Pero basin, I'll do some research on that because a lot of singers do that too. I see like sila Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, not as back-breaking as Pilita Corrales, but they bend their back. I always thought it was.
But how do you try to hit a high note? Do you does your body mechanics change? Kung naay for example, you're doing the greatest love of all or whatever. Kanang inana, does it help if bawg imong lawas or dili?
I don't know about the baug, but I do know that being in a proper posture nga you're upright.
Okay.
That's the best posture. It's
so straight, yeah.
Yeah, straight.
Okay.
It's much more difficult to sing sitting down, lying down, or so being upright is the best posture for you to maximize all the air.
Okay, so upright. Ang sakto day nga body mechanics kung if you're trying to hit a high note is upright.
Yeah, as far as I know.
Okay.
But I do think there must be something to do with the back.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Okay,
right.
I don't think it's just like an aesthetic thing or an expression thing. I'll look into that.
Sometimes what we know about something is what we believe about something, and we've held that belief for a long time. Actually, as it turns out, it's not true sometimes, diba?
Oh yeah.
So ang akong pagtuog
sure.
ang akong yung pagtuog ni Ana Justin, nagyo na say mura og purpose ba? Nganong magtuwad-tuwad man si Pilita Corrales mo kanta. Nagyo na purpose ana. So akong pagtuog is basig he can hit the high notes doing that. So na mga butang sa atong kinabuhi nga pagtuo na to mo na natong pagtuo pero kaning as it turns out dili di ay.
Oh yeah.
O kung mangutana lang ka, di ba? Kay komportable naman ka sa imuhang pagtuo ngayon. Nana na siya nga maglitad si Pilita pasabutan na nga she's trying to hit a high note. Dili di to style lagi dito niya.
Style.
Or whatever.
Which
brings us to our topic today. Ang atong topic today sa atong mag-anisay ta sugbo is kaning nakabantay mo ko Justin nga karong mga panahon na nibalik na sad ning mura na sad ning panahon sa eleksyon ni atong una nga ang mga tao nag-away na sad, right? Nag-away na sad, sige na sa glalis because of what's going on with the International Criminal Court and our former president, and also katong gipanghisgot ni Richard Hederian katong Sub-Saharan. Aligri kayo sa tanan kay I was actually in an international travel festival, the ITF. Sa waterfront, it's been going on for the past 10 years. Can you believe that? Courtesy of my Eventology. These are the organizers of that race, that festival. I'm sorry. And then aligri kayo kay ang mga speakers naghisgot man sila og kaning ilahang mga lugar, where they're from, mga LGU niya. Daghan man kayong taga Mindanao dito. So instead of saying here in Mindanao, they would say here in Sub-Saharan Africa.
Sub-Saharan Africa.
Moment to gisulti ni Richard Hedera. Nakakita ba ka to nga clip? Nakasabot ba ka na nga kuana nga murag narrativa nga si Richard Hederian was in a interview with BBC. Unya he was being asked about the whole ICC Duterte thing, and then he was trying to the interviewer was asking him kaning about Duterte, and hisgot siya about Mindanao, where Duterte is from Davao, di ba? Unya nahitabo is because he was trying to explain to the interviewer unsa ning Mindanao,
Yeah.
right? So kani good si Richard Herian, I think what happened here was he just became too smart for his own good. I think sometimes
Is that possible?
oh, it's possible. Kaya naitabo mo good ani, he was trying to describe to somebody from Europe, from Britain, unsa ning Mindanao. So the only way
To contextualize it.
Oh, to contextualize it. So
Para makasabot siya.
the only way he knew how was the economic index.
Okay.
Kaya kanang economic index mo good, mura man an indicator of how a country or an area is, di ba? So similar man sa sub-Saharan Africa ang
Mindanao.
Mindanao sa economic index. So mo i-describe niya sa
Mao na yung gigamit as a comparison.
to the interviewer. Kaya dili man makasabot ang kung moingon ang interviewer, kung ingon nimo ang interviewer og Mindanao, di nakasabot siya.
Yeah.
Kung saan ang Mindanao, I don't even know. Most people
Without any
think-
prior research or background on what is like kasabot.
most of the people think of us as the Philippines. Di ba? In fact, kung na maggubat diri sa Mindanao, for example, pag tuo sa mga tao nga gubot kayong tibok Pilipinas, di ba? Kabantay ka na. Mo mo gyud na di ko na Pilipinas, pero layo ra kay tas tanan tinai, layo ra kay nas tinai ang nahitabo sa Mindanao nato kanang wala tay labot
They have
ana.
their own thing going
Oh,
on.
so ang understanding sa kalibutan sa Pilipinas is what happens in the Philippines happens in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Was laki ba ang archipelagic and all that stuff. So mo nang ang
So
mga
that's why to contextualize para makasabot tong interviewer. Mo tong gigamit. So ito
Sub-Saharan Africa.
Sub-Saharan Africa.
Oh, ang economic index kuno sa Mindanao.
Okay.
Of course, kaning nuance man kay itong statement on niya kung if you take it on its own merits,
Yeah.
murag kuwang ra gito siya. Kay
Okay.
dili man tanan sa tanang lugar sa Mindanao nga inana mo man toy murag average ba. You
So
know
you think it was so did most people think it was a sweeping statement?
it was a sweeping statement that was not explained properly because he was just trying his best to contextualize Mindanao. So but that was not the topic, man. Good. That was not the topic. The topic was about ICC and the former president, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So mo to siya nga nag-away na ang mga tao. Anyway, my point is nga grabe kayo ka riled up, grabe kay ka emotional ang mga tao. Unya kaning mura og naunsa naman sa nini balik naman sa ni sa murag election era.
And you know what, Jiggy? That's also I feel like that's an indication as to how we will be this coming election. So if that's what
warm up ra
warm up ra to. So
Okay.
that's not even enough. I feel like tanawa karong summer when elections come,
Okay.
it's gonna get worse. So
Yeah.
then that's why I feel like it's so important that we have this topic today
Yeah.
for our own insight. So
So,
bukay padung na bayat taog
Mo gyud.
election.
So akong pangutana karong buntaga sa atong mag-anisay ta Cebu is online discourse worth it.
Yeah.
Kana bang mga tao nga grabe kay sila mo.
Kanang discourse, Jiggy, how would you define that? Like,
I actually
simple argument, or is it just like anything to do with when you have a different opinion with someone and you voice it out? Is that considered as discourse?
ang diskurso ba diskurso ato
Diskurso.
ato ning i-define gid ba a verbal interchange of ideas,
Okay.
orderly and usually extended expression of thought on a subject.
Okay. So it's not even negative in its
dili man siya negatibo.
like plain face value. It's
Oh.
pretty much just the exchange of ideas.
Yeah.
Okay.
So ang atong diskurso sa online kay mag-away man tagod, magblinakay, magkaning mura og magtrollay and
You know,
all
I
that
don't
stuff,
think
right?
this topic wouldn't have come up in the first place if we did not see the way that people have been reacting to it online.
Exactly.
lately.
Yeah.
So as we would always talk about here on TMC, the topics we're talking about are that in which like are happening right now sa atong kalibutan ba sa atong
Correct.
society niya. Makita magid nato. I tried not to be online for the entire week. Tried.
Good for you. Good for you.
Tried. Kita had to take note of the word tried. But every time I did go online, everyone was going crazy about the news and everyone's
Yeah.
nangaway ang ubang tao. Like I keep seeing people posting and mentioning how like, I never was able to unfriend so many people in my life until today.
Correct.
No, so it made me also think about like to what depths people go to defend their political ideals, and at the same time like how as persons we get affected by them bitaw nga. Imagine being so annoyed at someone having a different opinion than you
Okay.
or not getting along with them that you want to block them. Kay kasabot sad ko ana Jiggy, kakita are there some people that you notice like you just don't want to hear from them?
Nga naman.
I don't want to disrespect the opinion.
Kay para nako dili ta ganahan maminaw sa ilahang tingog sa ilahang ideas. Kay number one, sukwahi kay sa imuha. Opposite kay sa imuhang pagtuo. So dili ka ganahan maminaw na kay sometimes we're so emotionally attached to our beliefs.
Oh yeah.
We're so emotionally attached to what we think is right. So naagay tao nga mosulti nga sukwahi nga opposite sa imuhang gibati o imuhang pagtuo. Mo di ganun minaw na because you want to believe in whatever it is that you believe in. I think that's uncomfortable, right?
Yeah, that's number one. But what if in the case of like you having the same opinion as someone? I think it's also, to quote my Uncle Rocco, my Uncle Rocco, Jim Narvius, who also was here on the show a couple weeks ago. It's the manner in which you say things. So na yung mga tao, G, know if makarelate ka, okay naman nila yung mga pagkipangsulti. Like, to be honest, I have the same opinion as them, or I don't have an opinion regarding something, but it becomes like, I feel like they're jabbing it down my throat. Like, mura ko ma-overwhelm sa, like, kada minuto na lang siya i-repost. I don't know. So sometimes I try to like, di na lang kumutanaw siya ma-post.
I think this has got to do with the way we humans are being, the way we're constructed. I think we're more of a feeling beings than thinking beings, di ba?
Okay.
So thinking beings, thinking meaning hunahuna ka unsay gisulti niya, di ba?
Okay.
Pero kung feeling ka nga, di mo ganahan siyang the way he says it. Wa man ay labot actually. If you think about it, if you're a thinking being, dili na mo matter nimo kung hambugiro siya tan-aon, kung hugaw siya tan-aon.
If you're all on basically just the content as to what you're saying, if you're gonna just think if they're valid or not, then it wouldn't affect you so much.
Pero dili man kaganahan niya. Di ba? Ningon man si Joko, Uncle Rocco Steady nga. What did he say?
It's also in the manner in which you say things.
Yeah, exactly. So importante kay na siya tanan nga maka-parse out ta sa atong kagalingon niya na.
Yeah.
Kay kita we're supposed to be able to understand di nagikan ng tao nganong inana na siya pero dili nimo i-appeal sa paghusga sa iyang gisulti in the manner in which he's saying it. Imong sabton ang iyang gisulti based on the merits of what he said, not as much as possible ba try to understand nga kita dili man ta thinking beings, feeling beings man ta kung maminaw ka usa ka tawo, mubasa ka usa ka tawo, dili nimo imagine nga siya gasulti nga bugiro kayo, yang naong kalagot kayo, nga daghang kay bugas or whatever. Nagpaguman kaning maminaw kaniya musulti ni anang butanga samot kag kasapot, di ba?
Okay, so it's important when you're looking into someone sharing their opinion, you're looking into the opinion in itself, not necessarily, or don't focus so much on how they say it,
how he says
but rather
it,
what's the substance of what they're trying to say,
Yeah,
supposedly.
but we just can't help it. We just can't help it lang yun.
Okay, that's one thing. Pero unsaon man ko ang substance mismo, what may substance?
Layan na sa
patay,
layan na sa
diha, sa makalakot. When people are, they're sometimes like, makathink, what are you saying? What are you saying? Please get to the point. So that's, I guess that's why for the past days, Sahid, I would rather not dip my toes into the cold waters of discourse.
Yeah. Is it even worth it? Mo man atong pangutana karong buntaga, is online discourse even worth it? I'm not just talking about politics. I'm talking about everything, right?
Any discourse.
Yeah, I think one of the first and primal questions that you should ask yourself. This is just my personal opinion, and I think please tell me, Justin, how you feel about it. Is como engage man kay online discourse. I think the most important question is, how did you get to what you believe in?
That's nice.
Unsa man imo pag-abot ni anang butanga nga you feel so strongly about? Unsa man imong nakatunan?
What is the root of it all?
Asa man kagikan ana, di ba? Kay namong iuban gud nga ilang ibuhaton is they don't really know a lot of things, but murag they feel like kani si siyang tawhana bright ni siya. Unya kaning murag muni ang ako ang mga pagtuo, some of it. So siya na lang ako ang murag kaning mo what's the term for that? Nay proxy ba? Kanang iyang mga pagtuo, kaning ako nang i-adapt. You know what I mean? Siya na kana siya kung mo post na siya, kung mo nana siya i-post, akong i-share, kaya murag by proxy ba?
So it's kind of like I can relate to what this person is saying. So magpalaban ko ana.
So dili
Something like that.
dili na imuhang kaugalingon nga processing, lain nga tao nagproseso ana nga usa ka butang nya paghuman mo adapt ka anang iyahang mga pagtuo kay dili man ka conversant, dili man kay kamaayo, dili man kay kuwang man imong nakatunan naabtan sa kanang usa ka butang, usa ka
So
topic.
when someone offers a better explanation of how you feel, you tend to latch onto that niya. Kana imo i-push, right?
Murag gikan imo murag feeling smart kay smart man kay tong imong
imong gi-repost, imong gi-share.
Smart
But what, Jiggy, why is it important that we ask that question first? Okay, I feel like most of the time when there's a particular issue, when you're asked, not even when you're asked, when you're given the opportunity to choose which side to take, the first question we often ask is like, how do I feel about this issue? Not necessarily where do my beliefs on a certain issue come from. Why should we ask that question instead? Ngano importante manggid nga mangutana ta nga ngano ingani man akong pagtuuan ni? Instead of just the belief in itself na okay, I vote for this idea. Like, why do I have to think about where it comes from?
Based on the example that I just said earlier, kadaghanan or naiuban nga butang nga atong pagtuo dili na pagtugikan because ato nang giproseso sa atong utok, sa atong kagalingon, ni adapt lang ta og another person's
so it's not yours
beliefs, another person's perspective, another murag computer nga lain ba imong gigamit ba? Dili you did not study that topic from its source. You know what I mean? From its original source. For example, na kay hisgutan nga, let's just say usa ka topic, let's just say international law, for example, international criminal court, whatever. So imo nang sabton sa, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dili ka mo
Is that a good thing or a bad thing when it's not like if the source is not from you? Well, like let's say like you never really had an opinion about a certain matter. You had something like an ignorant idea towards it, and then sa imong pag-search or sa whatever the algorithm brings you, na a certain person who has more to say, then you latch onto that idea. Is that good or bad when the source isn't originally from you?
Is it good or bad if the source is not originally from you and you did not process that information, that topic, that issue properly by yourself? Laing tao nga niya. I think it
can
really
be dangerous.
That can be dangerous because mura ram kag ni adapt na dili man ka siya, you're not him, right? You're not her. So may tabo ana is, for example, na siya sa gawas labi nag foreigner ang imuhang gi-adapt. So dili ang context sa iyang mga ideas
will always be different.
Dili Cebuano context, dili Filipino context, di ba? You know, dili Asian context, di ba? So ang imong pag-process ana wa man sa kakibagod giunsa niya pag-abot niya nga konklusyon na you also do not know how he got to what he believes in. So kung mo adapt lang kan ani o kakibaw nga, for example kaning naday grabe kayong nahitabo siyang kinabuhi nganong nituo siya nang sa kabutang nganong nainana na siya na ba siya trauma, di ba? So wa jud kakibaw giunsa niya pag-abot sa iyang pagtuo. So kung magpatuga-tuga kag adapt sa iyang pagtuo,
that it's not your
then it's not yours, and you have no ground to stand on kung nag-adapt lang ka og usa ka butang nga imuhang gi-adapt nimo nga mo na imong pagtuo kay mo may gisulti ni kuan, di ba?
So for a better term, magsunod-sunod na ta.
Ang imong buhaton gyud na is you have to go to the original source, meaning to say kung usa ka topic, let's just say I don't know, maybe religion, Biblia or whatever,
religious documents, or
whatever
that in which experts have made. So the same way, if politics, then you look at jurisprudence, you look at kanang mga previous court rulings or actual, not just opinions of. So bali, you know what, Jiggy, they always talk about that in school. Kanang importance of looking into primary sources instead of just kanang of course having a more reliable source of information, dili lang hearsay or what like other people's opinions on a certain matter. So I think that's really important too. In our case, kung pabasahon may og kaso, we are always discouraged from reading case digests, which are other people's summaries of other cases. So inigbasa na nila sa case, maghimo na sila summary. Usahay kung gitapol ko, ubasa lang ko summary. Why would I read the whole thing, right?
Correct.
Pero it always comes to my like, it's always kanang a disadvantage to do that. Kaya you are not reading the text and understanding it in your own under your own terms ba. Ang opinions that you form are based off of somebody else's
yeah.
summary. So you lose that opportunity to grasp that for the first time and come up with those on your own. So I get why gina-discourage na siya. So in the same way, maybe looking into proper sources would help. Dili lang other people's opinions and posts ang atong gamiton siguro, no?
One of the primary reasons nga daw ang ato ang discourse online is messed up, is chaotic, is I think because mura man gunig infotainment god ang ato ang
Infotainment.
pagtuuan ng internet ba. Mura
That's
ba kani
nice.
kana bang actually don't seriously consider what we're posting. It's like just fun. It's just fun, you know? It's just
Why do you say
fun.
that? Just for the heck of it?
Kanang ang algorithm man gud sa social media, di ba, is it rewards outrage, di ba? It rewards controversial ideas. It rewards kaning violence. It rewards kaning mga bombastic
Yeah.
statements, di ba?
Yeah, exactly.
So
And the main reason for that is because that's more entertaining. That's what
Yeah.
gets the views. That's what gets people riled up and hyped.
yeah. Kay kaning kung mag-post
If
ka,
boring
lingaw,
ka-
lingaw, manggod, lingaw lingaw siguro sila, nag-post sila, na, paghuman, ganahan sila nga, I don't know, maybe mag-virtue signaling sila, nga,
Yeah.
like, nasa sila na ibawan, nga bright sila, which is,
Ikaw, Jiggy, personally,
Oh.
malingaw ka og online discourse? Like, engaging in it or watching?
I actually, there's a part of me that enjoys it.
The engagement or the watching?
I like manggod to put my idea to the test, and the only way to do that
Throw it out there.
is to throw it out there, di ba? Put it out there.
Feed it to the wolves.
Put it out there in the wild, right? So to speak, right? Because like you'll never know how they feel about what you think. And sometimes I don't post exactly what I want to say. I post
Oh, like an ambiguous...
I post something to make me understand about something else. You know what I mean? I'm trying more protracted ako mga questions ba. Anyway, your question, yes, I do enjoy sometimes online discourse, right?
Okay.
But kuyawan ako usahay kay murag, especially kung moabot na ka sa maghisgot na ka og mga tao sa gawas, for example, kay na may mga online chat groups nga maka-join ka. Grabe kayo, labi na sa West America, grabe kayo ka isog. Ganong like mura ba kaning they're so brutally honest ba?
Yeah, isog in one way, like not
And
only in the way
ngayon
that
siya
they
nga,
talk
you know,
about
like,
their opinion.
I don't know where this is going. You know what I mean? Like I don't know where this conversation is going. Like we know that already. Ano ba bro, ha?
It's a cultural thing.
Oh, mo lagi.
Imagine if ikaw, you see those uncles on the street na naman gid na magtapok ng mga tiguwang yung magstorya about certain topic. Diba, the most you would say is, dili, kay ana. Can you imagine if somebody actually said to you or in that situation nga, I don't know where this is going. Like, we already know that. It does sound a little, kind of sounds rude, but
yeah.
I think it's a cultural thing.
Mo gyud.
Dili na uso sa ato kay so why try to say that to someone, you'll really spark an argument.
Ikaw Justin, like unsa man imong how do you feel about it? Like kanang akong unang pangutana is it's important to know where you got to that place, right? How you got to believe what you believe in, right? For example, nganong mosuporta man ka ng tawhana? Ngano man asa man nagikan? Asa man na nagsugod? Unsa may nagsugod ana nganong grabe man kayo ka mutuo ng tawhana? Diin man nagikan. So kung let me just finish this thought. Kung naabot ka ana gikan lang sa istorya sa uban, then that's not
Is
a good
it really
that's not a good place because ni adapt ra man ka og usa ka pagtuo based sa ubang tao.
That's super important, Jiggy,
Oh.
because I do feel like most of the time with everyone else's opinions, makasay sad gid ka ba nga, magduda-duda sad ka ba nga, is that really your opinion or sunod-sunod ra ka?
Sunod-sunod lang ka diha, di ba?
Sunod-sunod ra ka, asa man na nimo makuha. So nakuha rather. So yeah, I never.
Ikaw, how do you get to the things that you feel strongly about? Unsa man ang mga butanga nga nituo kang grabe kay imong pagtuo, it elicits a strong emotion from you, a strong response from you. Diin nagikan ang imuhang mga pagtuo ngano man ka nga, why do you feel so strongly about that particular issue, about that particular topic?
Well, I just try to see if a particular topic or issue is in line with like my already set values and beliefs, I guess. And if I don't know much about it, then I'll try to read up or like tanaw-tanaw mga news about it, and then that would also depend, no? Because as we all know, it depends on what sites you go to and what news outlets you check, because then the way people write things would also influence, your opinion on a certain matter.
Correct, yeah.
In general, I would say I'm quite opinionated. Like, I do have something to say about anything, but I think what should follow with that should be the fact na you know more about the topic. Okay, I'm also the type, Jingy, if I don't know much about a topic, I prefer not to have a stand also, which I feel on one side of the coin it's good. Kaya murag neutral ka.
What's good?
When you would prefer not to make a statement or a comment on something that you're not well versed about.
Okay.
But on the other hand, people can also see it as wala man kay paki about, like I feel guilty about it sometimes. Like, maybe you have nothing to say, yeah, because you don't know much about it, because like maybe you don't care enough. Like, I feel guilty about that sometimes. Like, somebody will ask me like a political opinion in which I have not like wapa ko gathered news on, I wapa ko katanog data about niya. When I'm asked about it and I say I don't really have an opinion, there's like a voice in the back of my head probably like, yeah, because like you probably didn't care about it at first. Like maybe you don't care about it enough to read about it yet, unless unless it piques your interest.
It goes back to us being emotional or feeling beings, not thinking beings.
Diba? If I don't resonate with the idea, I won't really have. I won't have the interest to learn more about it.
What if you resonate with the person?
Oh,
you resonate with the person ba?
Okay.
So you have an emotional connection with the person, right?
Sige.
Ganahan ka niya.
Okay.
Pero wa kay kalibutan sa mga issue. Pero ganahan man kaniya. Right? You don't you don't care about whatever he says or she says is already gospel truth because ganahan man kaniya. Right? Mo na akong pasabot nga it's either you're thinking being or feeling being. Most of us, 99.99% of us are feeling beings. We don't vote with our hearts. We vote we don't vote with our brain,
heads.
with our heads. We vote with our hearts, right? So, akong pangutana diha is kaning sakto ba na nga tungod lang kay makarelate ka ng tawhana kaning basi unsa ang sulti sakto na.
Oh wow. So I do think having like a certain connection, whether it's personal or not, to a different to an individual, that counts as something, also a merit.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially if like all the more if you know the person. So if you know the person personally, when there are things that are being said about them or when they have a certain ideology, you tend to follow that.
Exactly,
like the same way in which like whatever your parents believe in, sometimes we adopt it. Like what my parents think about a certain issue, okay, more or less, unless I have something completely different, kana na pud akong i-follow. So but I don't think that's the only thing you should bank on. I think being independent and making your own opinions is just as important as taking initiative to research about it.
But what does it mean to make your own opinion? Like unsa kay proseso ba?
How do you form your own opinion?
Exactly.
You really have to expose yourself to different opinions. Because I would really say nga, if you're only in your own bubble, like you only talk to the people with the same ideas as you.
Or confirmation bias, mangita lang kag information nga mo confirm sa imong bias,
that's
diba?
also another thing. Mangita kag information that fits within your narrative, so then you're not actually learning anything new. That's why it's so important. That's, in one way, Jiggy, one of the best things about online discourse, if you look at it. I think that's the way people get involved and exposed.
Okay.
Kay they're not only talking to like people around their circle, they're putting their opinion for everyone else to see man. So, yeah, I guess that's the good thing about online discourse. No, that's the useful. If we're gonna look at the utilitarian side of online discourse, mao na ang gamit ana para ma-expose ka sa opinions uban.
So kaning uban di ay wala pa ni sila naka-form silang opinion, nagpost-post na sila ng moras lang kamao pag human unsa man like, akong pangutana is it's good to study, to understand what the issue is based on other people's opinions about it and all that stuff. Pero ikaw nganong mag-post mga butang nga pakakabaw para ma-expose imong butang imong mga pagtuo sa kalibutan para either whether you're correct or not. Is that your way to correct yourself?
It could be a way for some people to do that. Like they want to challenge and see what people have to say about it. So
nindot na. Pero kung
when does it become? That's the thing. When do we have like What's the healthy threshold for
Yeah,
that?
no. Let's go back to what we talked about. How do you get to what it is that you believe in, right? Kana siyang butangak murag kapoy kay nastanan. Lisod kay nastanan. Daghan kayo kag basahon. Right? Inconvenient kayo. Do you have time? Do you
To
have time?
read everyone's opinions?
No, I don't. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the source of that conversation. I'm talking about, sa imo mga pagtuo ba? Wala ka nag-adapt og pagtuo sa imong mama ug papa, wala ka nag-adapt sa imong uncle nga pagtuo, wala ka nag-adapt sa imong mga paborito nga mga superstar o mga thinker. You got it. You process it yourself. Kung imo nang buhaton, purti kang daghanang basahonon, kapoy kay nas tanan.
And do you also think that's possible to really have anything that's untouched or uninfluenced from anyone?
No. It's not like that. But what I'm saying ba is the original
Kung mo make it fully
kanang imong na may mga butang nga dugay na kaistanan nga stood the test of time, di ba? So mo na imong like for example ang nag-originate anong sa kabutanga imong basahon na siya ana bitaw of course
and it'll take forever for you to fully understand
so muna akong mungutana that's really the reason why I'm asking that question because kung ganahan ka expert og usa ka butang purti ng kapuya purti ng lisuda daghan kay kag kanon pa before you can get to the point nga you become an expert at it kasabot ka
yeah
you know what I mean so
becoming an expert at something
Muna ang ako that's how I feel passionately about nga dili mo ka expert anang usa ka butanga good nganong magpagawas makasi imong
so does that mean only experts have the right to pagawas sa ilang gibati?
Dili sad siguro
kay kung mao na ang case then social media what man should there be like a verification that only like unsa man na siya kurso na siya nga di ka pwede mo kay di ka expert ani. That's the thing about online discourse because everyone is empowered and being an expert is then subjective also because who says like what you have a PA unless does that necessarily mean that you have to have some sort of educational attainment or kanang expert ka kay trabaho ka sa gobyerno or expert
that helps.
Diba?
It helps. Yeah.
Kay
formal education helps. The academia helps. And
experience also.
Exposure to the thing helps, and the duration and the the number of years that you've spent on that particular topic helps, right? So, but you actually stumbled upon in a very important question. Ingon kung tana ka nga. Kung pasabot na ang mga expert na opinion ang mga wala expertise, wala opinion.
Or dili value as much kunuhay, not as valued opinion.
Well, kitang tanan, we're experts on something, right?
Yeah, on something.
Oh, on something. On maybe one
not
or
the same things.
one or two things, di ba? Not too many things. So, kay expert man sila ng butanga diha, mo man na ilang panginabuhi.
Okay.
Philosopher man na sila, politiko man na sila. Pare man na sila, whatever. Okay. So sila expert na. So kung dili ka pare, kung dili ka politiko, kung dili ka kaning scientist, nang dili siguro na expertise nimo. So dili siguro kaayo ka maayo anang usa ka butang, di ba?
Okay.
So kana siya. So mo na akong pasabot nga kung mo quote ka, you quote an expert, di ba?
Okay.
You know what I mean? So mo yun ka nga, the whatever, philosopher whatever or something, right?
So then, should decisions, like I'm looking at the greater scheme of things,
okay.
Not only just in making an online conversation or having a stand, do you think that to be able to make a grand decision, like someone must have expertise on it or like it must be backed up by like, not necessarily personal experience, pero dapat expert siya anang kabutanga to be able to have a say on that?
Expert. Well, ideally, yes. Mo na nakapait ang social media lagi karon kay before there was only like TV, right? TV.
People in media ra gyud ang makasay.
So mora na sila mahog og reliable sources, di ba?
Okay.
Say kay mora man na sila na ay voice. Karon kay everybody has a voice man. That's both a good thing and a bad thing, di ba? Everybody has a voice.
It's empowering, but at the same time it's also detrimental kay murag. Yeah, at one point on the kanang
of the scale
individual level, no, on one side of the scale, it is nice nga everyone has a voice in which murag tagaan ka og opportunity to say whatever you want to say.
Platform ka
platform. But on the other side of the scale, the extreme side, like what you mentioned, there's a question in which like, is what you're saying reliable ba? Because are you just saying something to pahungaw, or at the same time
adopting somebody's opinion?
Adapting someone's opinion. But either way, for me, that's the nature of social media. Nga murag, it's not only just for experts to talk. It's not just something. It's not the train that only experts can ride. Unfortunately, everyone can ride that train.
Yeah.
And so it really depends on you na gyud kung. I think that's where the friction is coming from, because there are people that claim to be experts, and there are some nga are actual experts, and the reality is di man gyud na sila magpareha og opinion, magbangga man gyud. So then people are also torn between like, which one do I believe, just because this famous influencer sided with this, side ba ko
okay ra nang torn. I think that's really that should be the natural state of things. You're torn because because it's complicated, because it's nuanced, because you can never understand everything. So torn is fine. I like torn. I like being torn about something,
because that also means you're
thinking,
your brain is turning.
Yeah, it's working, right?
Everything's stirring.
Yeah.
When is it not fine?
Kanang muro na kag well, if it debilitates you, if it does not make you, if it paralyzes you, if you're emotionally involved on something, pag hindi ka maka-act. But ang uban man gud, grabe na kay ka-strong ilang opinion about something, although they did not expose themselves with enough opinion, enough facts, enough knowledge about one thing. Grabe na kay ka-strong. So which goes back to my question, how did you get there in the first place? Nanong nituo man kanang usa ka butangan diin man nagikan. Unsa man imong gibasa, unsa man imong gipaminaw, kinsa man opinion imong gipaminaw. Kaning daghan kag nabasahan ang usang ka topic. Muna importante nang pangutana diin man nagikan imuhang pagtuo.
Okay. Asking the source, challenging if it's valid or not also in the first place.
You ask yourself, bitang anong ganahan makikona niya nga tawana sa? Unsa inaana niya? Which goes back to thinking and feeling beings. Ganahan ko niya kay makarelate ko. Morag yun. Agay! Morag yun.
Nice again ang isa. Wait, let me hear that again.
Ano siya? Agay! Morag siya.
Bago lagi na.
Bago na siya.
Oh my. Do we have other new ones?
So mo na siya, Justin. Importante kayo. Kay kita manggod, we don't have forever, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we don't live forever. Ato ang bisita diring lugar, gitawag na to planeta Earth, is fleeting, right? We have limited
not permanent
time in this Earth. We have limited bandwidth like a computer. Nga kung masobrahan og data, mo bog down, di ba? Atong utok po inanapod, right?
Okay.
So ang akong pangutana, which goes back to the original question, is online discourse worth it ba? So
worth all the time, the kahago,
and the emotional investment pagid ba unya ikaw, kung ang imong ultimate goal is to make this country a better place, right?
Okay.
Make the world a better place, whatever, right?
Many people will claim.
Yeah.
For their opinions.
Kanay imong opinion kung mo post ka na, does it make the world a better place?
I think, Jiggy, that's a really good, aside from asking, when you ask yourself, is online discourse worth it? Number one, you ask, asa man gyud gikan imong pagtuo? Second question you should ask is, unsa man gyud imong goal of that discourse? Kay, as Jiggy would mention, if your goal is to make a better place, then perhaps there are other ways in which you can do that.
On your field of expertise, maybe?
Yes, in which you can buwelo gyud nga makatabang ka.
Makatabang ka nang dapita sa imong kinabuhi.
Avenues in which pwede ka mapahungaw na magamit gyud imong opinion, and it's not just gonna be like another piece of paper in the waste bin. Number two, if you're it really depends gyud on sa imong goal. So unsa mo gyud imong goal sa discourse? That's the question. Kay ang uban, if ilang goal is panghungaw, then
magpahungaw lang,
magpahungaw, then masatisfy na sila sa ilang post. They don't care if they gain more knowledge or not. Basta nakaingon sila.
Nakinumdum ko niya itong una, Justin, I don't know if you ever had this opportunity nga. Kung nakaigahan ipahungaw, manawag kag amigo. Manawag kag amiga, di ba?
Yes.
Let's have coffee or let's have a drink, right? Pahungaw ka karon kay magpahungaw ka online man, tibok kalibutan naman.
Jiggy, di na kakailangan mo bayad og kape.
Tibok kalibutan naman imong ipahungawan sa imong gibati nga purting sayupa or purting misinformed kayo or whatever, right?
Mas dako man kag audience, mas least hassle. Tanawa good. If back in the day you have to call a couple of friends and tell them, "Kabaw ka, this is issue I want to talk about, blah blah blah." it takes so much resources, time, and effort. Karon, just pull out your phone. You know, it makes it easier. You have a bigger audience pa, and you feel more validated, I feel, just from a single like, from a single share.
Oh, good.
Would you say that's more validating than one friend telling you, sakto ka, Jig, sakto ka? Diba, mas validating ang daghang tao mo share, daghang tao mo, diba? It feeds your ego a little bit more.
Validates you. So our idea of validation is different now. Before,
yes,
if it's
someone agreeing,
if it's a trusted friend, and then listens to you. But mo sa nagod ka ng friends kung imo nang istoryaan mo sa imuhang mga gibati, they will not necessarily agree with you. In fact, if it's a true friend, imong kastorya, mangapi mo somewhere, he or she is probably going to disagree with you, right?
Yeah.
And you'll probably be mura og challenged nganong mo man imong pagtuo dili man mao.
Yeah.
Diba? So you'll probably have that, pero amigo man nimo. So dili gid mo mag-away. Kay you friends, right? But mabot mo sa panahon nga masig unsa ka amigo, mag-away na inuhon kay laylay ang mga pagtuo, di ba?
Yeah.
Right?
So then again, it also brings up like the idea of being open-minded. You must be open-minded to like what your friends have to say about you. But as I would mention, I think the question of whether online discourse is worth it or not depends on your goal. Kung worth it nimo nga magpahungaw ka and people listen to you and you feel empowered that way, then if you enjoy that, then it's always going to be worth it for you. But if what's worth it for you is gaining like insights outside of your own, being able to have like a in-depth conversation with other people, then you would really say, yeah, worth it ang online discourse. Or if what you value is other pressing matters in life, like experiencing things in real life and not just, being stuck to your online realm, then you would feel like online discourse is not worth it. That's why you don't engage.
Or maybe imuha gyud ang actual panginabuhi, influencer siguro ka.
Okay.
Katong nahitabo ni Richard Hederian. Let's go back to that, right? Katong hisgot niya nga Sub-Saharan Mindanao, whatever, right? Influencer man siya good. So his job is to engage people, right? So aga ka ba gisulti lang to niya for the heck of it para lang mga engagement.
Yeah.
He's saying something actually technically correct, but he knows it's going to spark a conversation, right? So he did that. We ended up talking about Richard Hederian in a frigging international travel festival.
Yeah.
So that's the realm of influence that you have. So makaingon siya, kuyawan ako, grabe ka. Katawara to siya dito ba? And he even posted nga, I got 20 million engagement because of the Sub-Saharan thing, right?
Yeah.
So imo na iyang objective. Mo na nganong inana na siya.
Yeah.
Ikaw, inana sa ka? Is that what you want to be also?
Are you an influencer?
And then kung influencer ka, then you have to be thick-skinned. Dili ka mahimo nga magsuko din ka. Kaya kung imong tuyo engagement, may insultuhon man juga.
Yeah.
Naman yung maglagot nimo. So normal na niya ni kang Richard because mo man niyang panginabuhi, influencer man ni siya.
So would you say that
ka sa imong tuyo, what's your objective? Then that's his objective.
Would you say that his objective is valid?
Which one?
Kana si Richard because it's within his scope of work man. So valid. Okay, yung objective.
He was able to make a point which was technically correct, but he didn't have to say that. Like I said, he's too smart for his own good, and he didn't have to say that because he could have said other examples about to describe to the interviewer unsa nang Mindanao, right? But
I think then the next question would be, when is your purpose for the online discourse valid and invalid? Is it valid enough? Okay, in his context, it's valid man kay, as you mentioned, influencers siya. So what if dili ka influencer, just a regular folk, you just wanna pahungaw, is that valid or not? Like, what if you're just a regular
person nga?
You're not like them, nga influencers. You have no, you in the grand scheme of things, you have a lesser impact to the political landscape. Lesser but not completely zero.
At the end of the day, it's up to you. It's really up to you. It's up to you. What do you do? What do you want to do with your time? So if it's worth it for you, then it's worth it for you. That's your.
Nobody can also. Do you also believe that nobody can also say invalid imong purpose?
Yeah. So I just want to have this conversation. So mura sila, they're more discerning ba when they post stuff ba nganong tuo man ko ana, nganong ganahan man ko nang tawana, di ba? Nganong grabe man kay ko karabi, nganong gi-block man ako akong paryente tungod kay
lain
niya
akong paryente no.
dili pareha kog pagtuod ang akong kandidato nga ganahan dili niya ganahan nya nganong ang mga tao ang mga pananaw sa tao dayon kung mo believe ka anang kandidato or tawhana bugo dili man sila bugo, you know what I mean, and they probably don't know also how they got to where they are, and you also probably don't know how you got to where you are. Wa ka ba nganong ganahan mo ko ning kandidato ha? You know, mo nang it goes back to free will again, right?
The question of free will.
Kana mga butang gud nga atong mga pagtuo, mga our deeply held beliefs mo sometimes watay labot ana. Naabot ra ta
to a certain point.
Naabot ra, for example, ikaw kung natawo ka sa let's just say sa Saudi Arabia, katoliko ka, you know what I mean? Kung
there are choices that are made before you,
di ba? So kung let's just say for example, kung you were born, you know, before martial law, for example, or if you were born at this certain time of the nation's history, kaning ganahan ka kaninang kandidato ha? Kung you know, kung imong papa wa ga trabaho anang kandidato ha,
would you also
mo suporta ka kanang kandidato ng kontra niya, you know what I mean? So there's so many factors nga naabot na atong mga pagtuo nga atong deeply held beliefs nga wa tay labot. So now that you know that, then you sit down
and you sort it out.
And then look at yourself in the mirror.
Which one you feel like,
ngano bitong naabot ko aning pagtuo na ako? Tungod siguro si papa na trabaho ni aning tawhana.
Tungod siguro kay akong close friend kay strong kay siya believe sa aning thing.
Or maybe kaning nakoy amigo nga gipatay because of this. You know what I mean?
Or I go to an institution that kanang for some reason ang mga nako, for example, people I look up to kay ingato po og pagtuo. So maybe
akong mga surroundings, akong environment, di ba? Nga mo nila pagtuo, so mo lang end up lang po nako, di ba? So I think when you become of age, you know, when you become an adult, then you sit yourself down, look at yourself in the mirror and say, ngano bitaw sa kanang iningon ani man ko? Nganong ang ako ang views liberal man or conservative man, nganong tuo man kay ko.
Where did I get these from?
Where did I get this from?
And which ones do I feel like serve me?
Nganong Lenny Robredo man kay ko, nganong Duterte man kay ko, nganong Marcos man kay ko. Ana bitaw, nganong atheist man ko, nganong Katoliko man ko, nganong Kristiyano. Mangutana ka na, look at yourself in the mirror and then say, okay, where do I start? Like so whatever it is that you believe in, right? Tuok anin niya, then you start reading books about that. Try to go to the original source as possible. You know, short of talking to you know, to the person who invented democracy, for example. You know what I mean? So there are books to read. There are people who've already.
There's article. There are articles as well.
Yeah.
So you're encouraging that right now.
Yeah.
In the sense of understanding the purpose for online discourse.
Yeah.
You encourage and you want to advocate for that jigging and murag. Try to be knowledgeable first.
Yeah.
Expound your first.
Yeah. And figure out what you want to do with your life also. Seriously.
It's so no, everything is connected again.
Yeah.
Ang kanang finding your purpose in life, what you want to do, it reflects man good in your online discourse, diba? That's one thing that we overlook. Sometimes we think we're just doing an opinion for the heck of it, but we forget it reflects your very ideals and everything you want to do with your life.
Yeah.
So if wala ka about what you want to do with your life, more reflexed na sa mga posts.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I have an interesting message here from where's this? Mail from somebody. Si Mel Libre, okay, what's that?
Vice ganda.
Si Mel Libre yun siya, I used to handle a radio program called Dial Your Opinion. In the 90s. We raised the current topic for people to comment on pros and cons, and we put them on the air. As moderator, I made sure that the discussion does not to attack the person, rather to focus on the topic. At the end of the program, I summarized the stand of both parties and left it to the general listeners to decide who is right. The online discourse nowadays is that there is no more moderator. One moderator. Everyone just puts their opinion or beliefs without thinking of the consequences. Good enough that there are laws in place that hold individuals accountable if the opinion or belief is defamatory. So
that's interesting. That's a nice take. Shout out to Mel Libre. Thank you for sharing that.
Kanang Facebook, wa man ay
way magbantay diha. Na magyapon community guidelines.
Way moderator, di ba?
I-flag man mo post if it's defamatory, and as he mentioned.
Pero grabe na kayo ka kuan ka. Grabe na kay ka strong na siguro imong opinion nga murag dili na siya madaba, pero by and large, everybody just says whatever they want, right?
Yeah, you can still hurt someone's feelings
Yeah.
without having to like
Di ko kasi-
result to defamatory.
to be honest with you,
statements.
to be honest with you, I understand the inclination. I understand where that is coming from. Maglagot kang i-block nimo, but I never go there. You know what I mean?
Wala pa sad ko kabutan
I
na
never
akong
go there.
i-block.
Kana imong parinte.
Because of it's
you know,
just because of
when you-
having a different view from someone.
Di ba? I never.
Pero maybe I don't know. I want to ask someone who's actually done it. I want to look for people who's actually done that. I want to ask what's the why? What's the behind that?
Yeah.
What's the psychology behind that as well?
Yeah,
I'll
that's-
look into
yeah.
that pod.
Yeah, kay basig ang akong ganahan magud buhato nimo is mangutana gyud kasi among kagulingon like kung na kay di ganahan nga tao bang mangutana sir kung ano ka siya nga grabe kay siya nituan usa ka butang
Why?
sa ngano ka sa I think
Tell me why.
then it is upon you also to try to understand more empathetic ka ba.
So you yourself
It's
should also
also
not
your-
judge right away.
Oh.
Kasabot na lang sad
Oh,
ka.
that's probably your responsibility also nga like
Okay.
because I
So it's both sides.
yeah, because I said a few days ago I posted nga before you're a Cebuano, before you're a Filipino, you're a human, right?
Yeah.
You're a human being, right? So maybe it should stem from that. Just start there. Nga,
Yeah.
tao ra makapareha ra
By the way, one of the best things about your posts sa TMC, guys, it's not too late to make an opinion.
Yeah.
If there's something you still want to say, gikan na to from a couple days ago, like Jiggy posted it from last week. We'll always bring back a couple topics. This is somewhat related to some of the on-site Subo topics that we had
yeah.
the other day. So, tanaw-tanaw lang sa among post dito sa Tops Media Center on Facebook, and then comment said mo.
Yeah.
Especially on what
Ikaw Justin, kaning naana kay usa ka butang nag-post ka or
Okay.
react ka nga you feel strongly about nga
Okay.
murag, and then you felt the need to engage in that topic, in that conversation because you feel strongly about it. Nakasuway na kana niya. Unsa mo tong butang? Unsa mo tong nga topic ka? If ever that happened to you.
Yeah. Yeah, there was one. I don't think I can give so much details about it because I was young. And
Okay.
it was I think, now looking back at it, I could have channeled it differently.
Okay.
Perhaps like not maybe just without posting it.
Mm-hmm.
But I did feel strongly about like there's an individual that I disagreed on
Okay, about what particular
about
topic?
kanang mental health.
Okay.
And so I felt like I didn't want to be an ableist and just, or enable rather, this person mocking mental health. But I can't give much details, but the concept, the context is kaning nga tawhan na murag nagbinuang siya or ni-allow siya nga make fun ang mental health or something like that. This person actually provided an avenue, an event that
Mocks?
yeah, it in generally mocks
Mental health.
and it made a lot of other people in that event uncomfortable. And so I thought that I felt it was very contrary to that person's ideals and how that person has been spreading that virtue of like being open. We shouldn't judge other people in their professional life for years.
Okay.
Kaya part man na siyang
Do
trabaho.
you know this person personally?
Oh yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
So I felt like, if that's your lifestyle, if that's your life to teach, in a way, the value of being open-minded and loving people and all that, like, why are you providing an avenue for people to make fun of people with mental health issues?
Okay.
Specifically illnesses that are in nature that are kanang to a certain degree not up to choice. To a certain degree, again, we have to be specific with that, like depression, for example. So kato nga time, may post ko og something like I ranted about it, and then it reached them. Actually, I also ranted to them, and then I posted about it again. It reached them. I got different opinions. The family members of that individual were disappointed, not in me, at that individual. They apologized on their behalf and told me, it's sad that that's what's happening. And I said, I just don't understand why, that's the case. And then the individual's other family members also told me, I should have just not, I should have just told them directly or something like that. And at that time, my justification was it was a big enough event for me to not just say anything publicly, especially because I was also involved, man. So, I did tell them personally, but I also posted it. So
Okay.
there's
So
things I learned.
So eventually, was it resolved offline?
Yeah, it was resolved offline.
Okay.
They didn't
So
They
because
failed. They don't do that kind of event anymore.
the beauty of that also is that you know these people, right? And
Yeah,
you know
we're good.
the family of these people and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So mahitabuan na is at least na kay maistorya even offline,
Yeah,
right?
you know what's ironic now?
No.
Now I see the post of that one individual, and it's all like mental health. Never blame someone for never blame someone for like things that they can't choose, like depression. I'm like, yeah, that's what I said a couple years ago. That's what I posted about. But I'm glad that they've adapted.
Yeah.
Not only that they've taken my opinion, but somehow apparently they saw my side, because now she's posting about it naman in my side. So I guess it was good.
Okay.
I just wish I'd never have to do that again, and I don't want to do that again because
Was it emotionally draining?
no, I also saw their side nga. Some things you don't have to post.
Yeah, okay.
So
Some things you don't have to post.
yeah, you don't have to.
Okay.
I wanted to though. I don't regret it.
Okay.
I wanted to post that, so it was okay. But you don't have to. Life would have just been less gubot if I didn't do that.
Yeah.
So okay ra pod. But it already happened. I have no regrets about it.
Okay.
And it looks like it went to a good result now because
Okay.
they're using that ideology.
Okay.
Pero as I mentioned, if you can go
So-
a different route, then
But you don't feel like it was emotionally draining for you?
emotionally draining, no.
Okay.
I don't think it was also emotionally charging.
Okay.
It wasn't like it was just for me. Like I just wanted to say something about
Okay,
it, and I
okay.
didn't feel good about not saying something about it
Okay.
in public.
All right.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's continue this conversation online. You can post on our Facebook page. Chris Robin, thank you so much.
Hello.
And the rest of those who participated in our conversation. You know what? I'm gonna. I actually posted something a few days ago.
Okay.
Regarding this topic.
Perfect.
Those who came before us were victims of the ignorance of their time. In time, it will be revealed how stunningly ignorant we were during our time. So ang atong mga forefathers, atong mga nuno, they were ignorant about a lot of things that we know now. But in the future, we will be known to be
We'll be them.
stunningly ignorant about what we don't know
Our time will come.
about our time, right? So let's leave it at that, right?
Yeah.
And
It's
I
not
hope
too late to comment yet, guys. If you
Yeah.
have other opinions you want to comment, Jiggy has a series of posts on
Yeah.
Toss Media Center on Facebook.
Jiggy Juice on Facebook, on YouTube, Tops Media Center. Join us in our conversation so we can, figure out whether this is the best use of our time. Is is online discourse worth it, right?
Yeah.
Or should you be doing something
something
else that
else.
you're very good at?
Yeah.
You're an expert on. And speaking of experts, I know that you brought with you a special guest,
Right.
who is a kind of an expert in looking good and modeling, right?
Right.
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 Who is our next guest, Justine?
Right. So in a couple minutes, guys, we'll have a good friend of mine. He's a male model, and he also won Mr. Pilipinas Global
Okay.
2023.
Okay.
He's a big model
Mr.
here.
Pilipinas Global.
Let me see again
Okay.
the name to be sure. Yeah, it is called Mr. Pilipinas Global 2023 and
Okay.
other competitions as well. So he has experience in pageantry as well as in modeling.
Okay.
We'll get to have an inside look into the male modeling industry, no? I don't know about you, Jiggy. I feel like I'm more well-versed into female.
Me too.
Kaning male what's yung kalibutan,
Yeah.
what makes it different?
Yeah.
How does it work in there?
Exactly.
So we've got someone to talk about that.
That's the
in a couple
only
minutes.
the only thing that I know about beauty contests. It's Miss Universe.
Miss Universe,
I
Miss
don't
Cebu, Miss
I,
Miss.
I don't have any insight on male
Kato
pageantry.
na mong giapilan sa una, Jiggy.
Mr. Universe. Wa man to. Kaning
Mr. Tops.
No, Mr. Universe to siya kaning si Arnold Schwarzenegger man good, mas dako siya nako, mas taas siya nako. So pagtapad nako napildi jugo pero hapit gamay like kuwang pildi
Di
ta
masad ta ka sad siya nga.
bodybuilding to bodybuilding
Oh
to
my God, Jiggy of all things. No? So yeah,
Well,
as Jiggy also has experience in the male modeling industry, of course. But we have someone else also
bodybuilding to ko.
to talk about it in a few minutes,
okay,
guys.
stay tuned. Coming up in just what's his name again?
John Tanting.
John Tanting. Coming up next here on 105.1 TMC.
The best of us.